Hey everybody, today we're going to look at the maintenance I have to do to the Discus tank every other day. So, welcome back to What the Fish, and let's get right into it. So this is what a typical maintenance would look like every other day on my Discus tank. Now you'll notice the soda bottle floating up in the left hand side there. I'm starting to hatch out some brine shrimp just to make sure everything's set up and works, so that when I have the babies to actually feed it to them, I'm more confident in what I'm doing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the light off here. I'm going to reach down in here and I'm going to get this big rock out of my way, because when you're trying to clean the tank, you want as little stuff in your way as you can possibly get, so that you can get everything off the bottom of the tank. Nothing, rots away down there and starts to spike your ammonia levels. So I'll rock it off here, get all the loose stuff off of it, let it settle down to the bottom, and take this out. This is another thing I do that a lot of people are going to shake their head when they hear this, but I just take it and I rinse it off in tap water. I have well water, so there is no chlorine in the water, and I just use that to rinse off any leftovers that are stuck to that rock before I put it back in. So then once I get that out, I'll let the tank sit for a couple of minutes, let everything settle down to the bottom of the tank, and then I come in with the gravel vac here, and you dip it down like this, put your thumb over the end of the hose, and then you pull it back down out of the water, and it starts your siphon for you, so you're not sucking that nasty water out of the tube every time. And then you kind of want to think about it like you're vacuuming a carpet in your house. You want to make nice passes back and forth and nice straight lines, so that you make sure you get everything. You can go and spot vacuum the spots where you see the biggest amounts of buildup or whatever. But then you'll notice with my left hand, I don't know if you can catch it on the video here, but I'm actually pinching the hose off. So you see how the rock starts floating up the hose? So I'll pinch the hose off. That allows the rock to fall back down, but at the same time, the yuck that I'm vacuuming up off of the bottom, the fish poop, doesn't fall as fast. So the rock falls out of the tube, and then the fish poop stays up in there. Once the rocks are out of it, I unpinch the hose. The siphon immediately begins again and starts sucking everything up. It's a pretty convenient way. I actually picked that up on someone else's video on YouTube the other day. So yeah, like I said, you want to make pretty straight passes back and forth, just like you're vacuuming a carpet in your house, and just vacuum all the debris that's down on the bottom of the tank out of there, so that it doesn't start to rot and cause your ammonia levels to go through the roof. Then once you get through and you make sure you have everything all vacuumed out and cleaned up, you want to take the siphon out, the vacuum out, and hold it upside down and let the line drain out, and then there'll be a little bit of water I pour back into the tank. But for the most part, you don't want the water shooting back. If you just pull the siphon straight out, it'll shoot all the water back into the tank and blow out any of the stuff you have in the siphon at the time. The idea is to get all that stuff out of there, not to put it right back into the tank. So now that you're done with the vacuuming, the next thing you want to do is basically just take a look, check out the temperature. I also inspect my air lines, look and make sure everything's bubbling the way it should, make sure the temperature's right, the heater's working, and then I'll put the rinsed off rock back into the tank. You can see I turned it upside down. It's a fake rock, so I want to get all the air out of the inside of it. Put that back down in there so they have their little comfort zone. It's funny, when they go to sleep at night, one of them pops into each of those holes, and that's kind of where they sleep. So then we'll get the rock back in there, and then I'm going to put the brine shrimp that I was hatching back into the back there. The reason I have them sitting in the tank is because it saves me having to have a heater for them separately. This tank I maintain at 81 degrees anyway, so it's just the perfect temperature for hatching out the brine. So I just float it in the tank, keeps the water the right temperature, and then all I have to do is stick an air bubbler in there to keep the eggs circulating so they don't sit on the bottom and rot. But now we'll add the water back in. I had changed out about 2.5, 3 gallons, and it's a 20-gallon tank. Now this tank is only here for when I received the fish a couple of weeks back. I wanted to quarantine them, so this is their quarantine tank. These guys are going to eventually end up in the 55 I set up the other day, but I wanted to grow them up a little bit, get their colors showing real nice, and then once I'm sure that they're healthy, we'll move them over to the 55. But we had a few issues with these fish. We ordered 6 of them online. When they arrived, we had 1 DOA, so that knocked us down to 5. And then we also had another one come in the next morning. I put them in with no lights on. The next morning I came out and found a second one dead, so that brought us down to 4. And that was good for about 2 weeks. And then something went wonky with the heater overnight. And I came out in the morning, I went to feed them, and I always check, just do a basic check when I'm feeding them. Here you see I threw in a little bit of stress coat. I do that every time I do a water change. Kind of helps the fish kind of recover or whatever. But yeah, so anyway, the heater went wonky. I came out, the tank was about 100 degrees. And I thought, oh great, I'm going to lose all my fish. So I immediately took that heater out and replaced it with the one you see in there now, and put some ice cubes in there to cool the temperature down. And once I got all that, we lost another one. So now we're down to 3 discus in this tank out of the original 6 we ordered. But the 3 that are left, 2 of them actually look to be kind of really friendly with each other, while there's another one that looks like his growth was stunted a little bit. So he kind of hangs out behind that corner sponge filter you can see there. So when these guys move over to the 55, I'm going to keep this for a breeding environment. We intend on getting 3 more discus. We're going to have 6 altogether in the 55. Let them pair off naturally in there, and then move them back in here for the actual breeding. But that's pretty much how cleaning goes. I do about 15 to 20% every 2 days, so it ends up being about 60% of the water change during the week. Some people do their maintenance on their tanks once a week. I prefer to do it every couple of days. It lets me keep a closer watch on the parameters and make sure everything is where it is, and if something does happen, I tend to catch it a little bit quicker than if I was waiting and only doing it once a week. But if you like what you see, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. Drop your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe and check out the rest of What the Fish. Thanks for watching, guys.